Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We're going to continue talking about, it's hard for me to even say, and that is, could it be that America's judgment arrives in 2021 and Jesus returns in 2028? Now, I'm going to give you the disclaimer here. In my personal opinion, frankly, I've been trying to give this soaking time. I am not convinced that it's going to happen yet. But at the same time, it's not about me, not about my opinion. And if it appears that it could be from God, since I am a watchman, then I have to bring it to you, and then it is your decision. Frankly, I find it difficult to believe that God is really going to allow the Russians to attack us in 2021. I find it really difficult to believe that Jesus might return in 2028 because I still have the wells to drill in Israel. Preaching in sports stadiums. I have a lot of things that I believe God has promised me to do. So I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. I don't want to accept it. I don't like it. But nevertheless, broadcast not about me. The information not about me. So as a watchman, I bring you the information and I tell you that it has credibility. So here's my disclaimer. I am not saying Jesus is going to return in 2028. I'm not saying that the Russians are going to attack in America either in 2020, 2021, any place, and I'm not saying that. I'm simply a watchman. I'm simply bringing you the facts. You decide. So let me refresh your memory on a couple of things before I give you the new information. You remember, Dmitri said the fall of America would start with an internal revolution, started by the communists. Some of the people would start fighting against the government. The government would be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two other countries would attack and defeat America in one day. You also recall that there was 2 cows born, and I'm going to skip all the details here. But basically, they were released to the public. The information was September 25th of 2014. And the essential interpretation, if this is correct, the prophetic interpretation would be that these 2 7 cows say that there's 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine coming on the world. And that 7 years of plenty would be the last 7 years of plenty. And it started September 25th of 2014, followed by 7 years of famine, i.e. the tribulation, which would start in 2021. Now, do you know what Shane Warren said in his DVD? We just played it this past week. He said that there's a 400-year judgment cycle. And he says that America's judgment arrives in 2021. 2020 is also 400 years from the Mayflower Compact. 2020 is 40 years from when the judgment was spoken to Dmitri Duduman. So there's a lot of things pointing to the year 2021. 1948, Israel became the state of Israel. In 1967, Jerusalem was recaptured. But do you know what happened July the 19th? That's last Thursday. July 19th, last Thursday, is the Knesset just voted to make Israel a nation. Up to this point, she's been a state. So what does that mean? July 19th, 2018. Well, it just so happens, I know a lot of people want to say, well, Israel was 70 years old in 2017. Well, the problem is nothing really happened in 2017 concerning Israel. The fireworks all started in 2018. Israel became a nation in 2018, which just happens to be her 70th birthday. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean when Israel became a nation? Listen up. It means that the land of Israel officially belongs to the Jewish people, as in God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It means that Israel is the official language of the nation. The biblical calendar is now the official calendar of Israel. Keeping the biblical Sabbath is now a national requirement. The biblical feasts are officially recognized by the state and must be observed. The Israeli government must help the ingathering of the exiles. Jerusalem is the undivided capital of Israel. Jewish settlement. Israel is now officially supported by the government. Israel shall officially work to preserve the Jewish religion. The Star of David is the official flag. The Second Temple's menorah is the official state symbol. The Hatikvah poem, expressing Israel's prophetic desire to return to Zion, is the official national anthem. And the, quote, State of Israel is now officially known as the Nation of Israel, or just Israel. Okay, there's more. Then we go to prophecy, Matthew 24, verses 32-35. Jesus speaking. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. The fig tree is Israel. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, that's saying, so when Israel is a nation, a young nation, which just happened a week ago, brothers and sisters, okay, you know that summer's nigh. So likewise, when you see all these things, you know that it's near, even at the doors. Verily I say to you, listen to these words, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Question is, no question is talking about Israel. No question is talking about that when Israel becomes a nation and puts forth leaves, it's talking about Israel. But it says, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now, that's saying this generation is not going to pass until all of the prophecies concerning Israel and his return are all fulfilled. Question is, how long is a generation? Well, now some people say a generation 70 years. Some people say it's 80 years. Some people say it's 100 years. Some people say it's 20 years. But here's what we got to look at. We got to look at the scriptures. Now, I read through the entire chapter of Psalm 90 in my broadcast a couple of days ago, so I'm not going to read through the whole chapter again. But I'm going to summarize the whole chapter, the 16 of the 17 verses, by just reading the highlighted verses. The highlighted words. Then I'm going to read verse 10, and we're going to talk about it. So it says, these are the words. Listen to these words. These are all words, and I believe this is talking about Israel. It's not talking about a person. It's talking about Israel, and I'll show you why. But I want you to listen to these words. These are the words, and all of the words have to do with timings. Listen to these words. Generations, before, everlasting to everlasting, thousand, yesterday, past, watch in the night, morning, evening, consumed by thy anger, wrath, past, years. See, they're all dating words. Wrath, they're all talking about the last days. Number of our days. How long, O Lord? Be glad all our days. Days, years. The glory unto their children. Beauty of the Lord be upon us, and establish it thou it. Now, my opinion, that's talking about Israel. My opinion, that's talking about dating. And it's specifically talking about generations as it relates to his wrath. Now, what's his wrath? His wrath is not 7 years. His wrath is not 1 month. His wrath is one day, specifically the morning star, which is the light sword that comes out of his mouth. That's the wrath as it relates to Revelation. Now let's read verse 10. Listen carefully. Now again, I'm going to give you another disclaimer because the things I'm about to give you today are very strong, saying we might only have 3 years till the fall of America. We might only have 10 years to the return of Jesus. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to accept that. But again, it's not my opinion here. Okay, I'm simply the reporter. I'm just a delivery boy. As a watchman, if I see the sword come, I'm commanded to warn you. So I'm warning you. I'm warning you that we might, I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say we might only have 3 years as a nation. We might only have 10 years to the return of Jesus, but that's the interpretation of this verse I'm about to read. Here we go. I'm reading Psalm 90, verse 10. The days of our years. Now see, we want to say, oh, it's talking about us. That's talking about us. That's talking about people. No, you read the chapter. That's not what it's talking about. You read the chapter, and it's talking about the nation of Israel. What did it say in Matthew 24:32? Learn the parable of the fig tree. It's talking about Israel, talking about the nation. Here's what it says. The days of our years, what's that mean? Is that saying this is how long Israel's going to last? This is saying this is how long Israel, when she resurrects, will live before Jesus returns? The days of our years are 70, that's 70. And if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow. Is that saying that Israel will only last 80 years, and the last 10 years, between 70 and 80, those last 10 years, it's going to take strength, labor, and sorrow? Is that saying tribulation in there? I'm asking you a question. Is that saying that within those last 10 years there can be labor and sorrow? Is that sorrow referring to tribulation? Let's go on. For it is soon cut off and we fly away. Oh, Stan, that's just saying that if a person's strong, they can live to be 80 years, but if they're not real strong, they're going to live to be 70 years. Okay, well, I agree with that. That sounds about right. Matter of fact, I prefer that interpretation over what apparently is really written here. I don't want to believe we got 3 years to the fall of America. I don't want to believe Jesus is going to return in 10 years. I want it to be more like 2047, something like that, okay? Let me read it again. The days of our years are 70, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off and we fly away. What's that cut off and fly away? Brothers and sisters, talking about death. Is that saying that Israel as a nation is only going to live 80 years, meaning that Jesus returns at the end of the 80 years? I don't even want to believe it. I don't even like saying it, but I am the delivery boy here. Now, there's more. So then let's jump to Prophet Sundar Selvaraj. And as I told you, I've listened to this guy. I believe he's a prophet. He says that he had 4 angels visit him. And these 4 angels say miracles are about to hit. Miracles, and he says the angels said, like we have never seen. In other words, like the angels have never seen. Well, see, that matches what I was told, October the 8th of 2015. I heard the words, this is the time of miracles. And it was downloaded in my heart that as the trouble hits, God is going to show up with double portion miracles like no one going back to Adam has ever seen. You remember, I told you that, okay? But now we have Sundar Selvaraj saying 4 angels visited him and told him the same thing. But there's more. The angels also said a respite has been given. This is the good news. A respite has been given to this nation by the council in heaven. So he had to look up the word respite. The definition is a respite is a short unit of rest from something unpleasant. Now here's what I want to believe. I want to believe that applies to this whole 3 and 10 thing, this whole 70 and 80 years thing. I want to believe that it's not, in other words, I want to believe that God is not going to be doing this anytime soon. I want to believe we do have another 10, 15, 20, 25 years. 2047 sounds real good to me. But at the same time, as a watchman, I got to bring you this. And you've got to, here it is. We got to put on our plate that this is a possibility. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Russians going to attack America in 2021. Jesus is going to return in 2028. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying we have to nail it to the wall. We got to tape it to the wall. We got to put it on the plate. We have to consider that is exactly what it's saying and that it could be happening that soon. That is the truth. We do have to consider that. I told this to Leslie. She said, don't even say that. Don't even say that. And I said, well, I agree with that, brother, sister. I mean, my wife, I agree with that. I mean, everybody agrees with that. Everybody agrees with that. Nobody wants to hear that kind of trouble is going to hit that soon. So the angels told him that God is bringing judgment on this nation for political crimes. Well, tune in to Hannity on Fox News, and he will update you with all of the evil that is in the process of being rooted out in this nation, and may all of the nation evil be rooted out of our leadership. He was also told that we need to pray for Donald Trump, that there's octopus spirits standing behind Trump with tentacles trying to destroy him, to get him to not to do the right thing, to sign wrong legislation, to do unrighteous acts. Unrighteous groups are pressuring him. We got to pray. Now let me go on to part of this we've also discussed. Now you remember Shane Warren, and we just played this past week, that Iran, Russia, and China are conspiring to kill the dollar. And he was told that the dollar will be worthless. All right, let's talk about that a second. As you recall, we had Daniel Davis in, and he made a DVD called I Saw the Dollar Dead. And in this dream, part of what he saw is the dollar became so worthless that you pulled up to a gasoline station and they would not take your dollars. Now, if you had coins, they were good, but they would not take your paper. And there were people that were trading in saws and tires and all sorts of things for a few gallons of gas. He also was told that silver is going to skyrocket far more than gold. He saw riots all across America. He said these weren't just riots, this was a war, civil war, between this side and that side. And he said he saw them demanding, holding up signs saying, we want our entitlements, return our entitlements. It sounds to me like, and I believe that the very next thing we're going to see is some kind of a great financial difficulty. You remember that Bennett, what was his name? Terry Bennett said that there's going to be a new currency come out. What's that sound? Of course, you also remember, I don't have all that, I'm doing part of this just off the top of my head, but remember Maurice Sklar prophesied that the dollar would lose 30%, and it did in 2008. But he also said that the dollar is going to lose another 30% and eventually become worthless. Now, we just got some good news, and we keep getting, I think the whole Singapore thing was great. I think the whole Putin summit thing, that was all reported good. I mean, that's not what the news reported all good, but I thought it was all good. And I want to believe that what we just heard yesterday with the EU, this guy from the EU coming over on July 25th and sitting down with Trump, and basically EU and Trump kissed and made up. Basically, they said, okay, we will bend the knee to America. We will start cooperating on the trade. We will lower our barriers. We will cooperate. Well, I came over to make a deal. He actually said that. See, to me, I'm hearing the part that says America's going to fall in 2021. Jesus is going to return in 2028. And then I'm hearing the part where Sundar Salvarez says that we're about to see great miracles. To me, that's not saying that those dates are pushed off. That's confirming those dates. Because again, as the trouble hits, that's when the miracles hit. So hearing miracles is coming. It's actually not good news. In other words, it's saying that trouble's coming. He had 4 angels that came to him and said that God has given us a great respite. Okay, fine, that's great. But is that respite meaning that you get to make it to 2021 rather than being destroyed immediately? And part of what the angels said, much damage and harm was done during Obama's term in office. Many secret plans of alliance were made which would have brought destruction upon this nation if Clinton would have been elected. These would have undone the nation, but God put a stop to it. So that sounds to me like the respite was that Trump won the election. That was the respite. We're in the short unit of rest from something unpleasant. But I'll tell you how we're going to know. I mean, they come out with a new currency, the old dollar get reduced by 30%, then maybe another 30%, finally down to zero. Dollars blowing in the wind, and they're useless, just like Shane Warren saw in his storm vision, okay? Look, man, when a brother has a vision, that's nothing to take lightly. That's more serious. That's more powerful, in my opinion, than a dream. And having a dream is more powerful than just hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. It's just in your heart. In other words, there's different levels of how God talks to us. But when a brother gets a dream, that's important. When a brother gets a vision, that's even more important. But when he has 4 angels, and look, you don't tell a lie like that. You tell a lie like you got an angel visit and you didn't have an angel visit, and you're in the worst trouble with God. You tell somebody you got 4 angels visiting you, and that's a lie, you don't have long to live. My opinion, you don't have long to live. Your days are numbered. Put an X on the calendar because you don't have too many more days. So this brother, Prophet Sundar Salvarez, I don't believe he's lying. He says he has 4 angels come to him and says that God gave America a respite, which is a short unit of rest from something unpleasant. And he says that respite, basically, he didn't say this exactly, but I believe that's what he's saying. And that is that Trump was the respite. He's saying that if Clinton had got in, I believe we'd already be in martial law. And I can hear everybody out there right now listen to this broadcast saying, you're right. You're right. That crooked Hillary get in, and we'd already be in martial law. America would already be in the process of falling. What God is doing by putting Trump in there is giving us a little bit more time. Question is, how much more time? Could it be that we only have another 2 or 3 years? Look, I'm telling you, they come out with a new currency. They devalue the old currency, and that's what the prophets are saying. By the way, none of this comes from me. But that's what the prophets are saying. That happened, and all of a sudden, America is in a world of hurt. All of a sudden, those miracles start hitting. All of a sudden, we can say, okay, we're running out of time. Okay, it sounds to me like we got to look at 2021 real hard. Maybe America does fall in 2021. Maybe Jesus is going to return in 2028. We got to look at that real hard. Now, if our economy keeps on, and that's good because we just saw the EU come over and kiss and make up to Trump. They're gonna cooperate with us on our trade. That's great. But how about Canada, Mexico? How about China? China's a big problem. They are not backing up, and they say they're not going to back up. And they have an open statement that they want to take over America economically. They are buying up stuff here, the companies, land, buying up left and right. They're doing what they said they're going to do. Now, I don't know if that is God getting them connected enough so that when Russia does attack America, then God said, I'll raise up China and Japan, many of the nations. They'll go against the Russians and defeat the Russians. I don't know if that's God's plan or not, but I can say this. We don't pray, brothers and sisters, we're in trouble. I want to believe that the respite means we're going to have more time than 2021. But I'll tell you what we can watch for. As long as we keep getting good news, like EU coming over, if we can see, and I heard this morning on Fox News that Mexico is sitting down and they're making some good trade agreements with Mexico, and they're expecting in the next couple of months to be able to announce some good trade agreements made with Mexico. That would be great news, brothers and sisters. Great news. We need to start hearing that with Canada and especially China. We need to hear that China is cooperating. Matter of fact, I got an article here. This is from World Tribune, July 11, 2018. Headline, China appears rattled. That's good news. China appears rattled by new Trump tariff threat. A shocked Beijing is increasingly worried about how far U.S. President Donald Trump will go in his threat of a trade war, analysts say. I don't think he's bluffing. He ain't bluffing a bit. They better be sitting up paying attention. He has already imposed levies on Chinese solar panels, steel, aluminum, mini machine industrial parts, threatened to impose new tariffs on Chinese imports totaling $200 billion. Trump is basically saying, I'm going to cut your throat. He's basically saying, I'm going to cut off $200 billion in business. China can't take that, according to what this guy said yesterday. The article goes on to say the new tariffs would be on top of the 25% tariffs the Trump administration has already levied on $50 billion in Chinese goods. Now, if we see China come over and kiss and make up to Trump, Mexico, Canada kiss and make up to Trump. All of a sudden, all these other nations decide, okay. Yeah, we know we've been taking advantage of you. We've been taking advantage of you in all this trade, and okay. We're going to cooperate. But July 22nd, 2010, Leslie had this dream. This speaks a whole lot. Stan and I were watching a mudslide in progress. Some houses had already fallen. We began going from house to house shouting, saying, "You're on the edge! You're on the edge! If you don't want to fall in the mudslide, you have to balance your house. You have to stop standing on the edge and hanging over." Only a few houses remained standing. Then the scene changed. Stan and I were on a boat floating on top of mud. We already had fish in our boat, but suddenly fish from all directions began jumping out of the mud. The mud is the world of sin. Into our boat. Boat is Jesus. Among them were several large fish. Now I'll skip part of it here. I believe that's talking about a financial difficulty like we've never seen may be about to hit. I don't think the respite is starting now. I think the respite started with Donald Trump's election. My question is the respite running out because it's only a brief time? I don't want to believe that Russia's going to attack in 2021, but brothers and sisters, I'm scared. I'm scared it might be hit. It might be right. I don't want to believe. I mean, it's a one side. I mean, I want to see Jesus return. Okay, I want to get this all over. I want to be in heaven. I want to see in the New Jerusalem. I want the glorified body. But on the other hand, if we start seeing a financial difficulty, then understand, brothers and sisters, I've been warning you. I've been telling you this is coming. So here we are. We're in the middle of summer. They just told me $45 came in the mail today. $45. Now, we can't run a ministry like that. We can't do it. But I know that there's a God in heaven that hears my prayers. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray a powerful prayer for you. You're listening. This prayer is for you. Lord, we give you praise, glory, and honor. We ask you to speak to the hearts of those people you've blessed that appreciate your word, your warning, that they would come together and that they would turn and they would support Prophecy Club and help us get out of this hole. In Jesus' name, amen. So there you go. That's my warning for today. I don't want to believe 2021 is the fall of America. I don't want to believe that Jesus is going to return in 2028. But I also have to say there's a lot pointing to say that's exactly what it's saying. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. And thank you for your gifts of support. God bless.
We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.
Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Dr. Bree Keaton just made a brand new DVD. It's called Is Trump or Patrick Henry? Now, it's not a political talk. Bree's mother was a descendant of the patriot Patrick Henry. She reveals shocking, never released private family records, bloodlines, and gives you the true story of how God used Patrick Henry to save America. She helped me to see more clearly where we are and where we're going because most of history has already repeated itself. I promise you will like this DVD. Is Trump our Patrick Henry? prophecyclub.com. The extreme summer blowout is now in effect. You can get 50 DVDs for $250. That's $5 each. 25 for $160. That's $6.40 each. 15 for $120. That's $8 each. 10 for $100. Obviously $10 each. 6 for $70. 4 for $50, and 2 for $30. You can go to prophecyclub.com. There's a list of all the DVDs there, or you can call us and ask for the summer catalog, or download the catalog at prophecyclub.com. Flip through it, then decide which DVDs you want. That's 785-266-1112, and it expires soon. Call 785-266-1112 today. Some restrictions apply.